these investigative programs have really been mischaracterized by people who are opposed to 287G and been frankly vilified and misdescribed. And as you know, they are described as allowing local agencies to conduct street sweeps or go around arresting people who look like they might be illegal aliens and so on. I haven't found that. The results from these programs, the data that they've released, simply do not validate those accusations. If you look at Collier County's program, for example, they have, and the other criticism is that these programs are not arresting enough quote-unquote serious criminals. That's a point that's often made as a problem with these investigative programs. But the results show that that's completely false. Collier County, something like half of the arrests that they've made in their investigative program were felonies. They calculated that of the hundreds of people that they've arrested, the average number of arrests per person is 11 apiece. So, I mean, these are, they're simply not going around arresting people for, lacking a fishing license or something like that. Even in Maricopa County, where they had their investigative program withdrawn by Department of Homeland Security for allegedly not arresting enough serious criminals, 40% of their arrests were level 1 and level 2 offenders. Those are the two highest priorities for ICE. These numbers are higher than ICE's own investigative programs and some of the other programs that ICE is promoting right now, like secure communities. So it's hard to see why these kinds of programs have been singled out. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no evidence that they are being misused in the way that they have been accused. The other common objection you hear from the organized opposition and open borders groups who oppose immigration law enforcement in general is that by allowing local law enforcement agencies to use immigration law enforcement tools and to have immigration law enforcement authority, is that this will somehow damage their relationship with the immigrant community and cause immigrants to stop reporting crimes and to be fearful of authorities. Again, this is a complaint that you hear very frequently. The problem we found through looking at these programs and talking with the agencies and investigating all the empirical information that's out there, of which there is not very much, to be completely unsubstantiated and could not find it at all. In fact, those agencies that have studied this problem to try to see if there were any quote-unquote chilling effect that was occurring as a result of their participation in 287G did not found it. They did not find that calls for service from immigrant neighborhoods decreased in any way. Collier County and Prince William County both looked into this in some detail and found that it was completely non-existent. Unfortunately, this is a myth that's still out there, but I think one that does a great disservice to the immigrant communities who are the victims of some of these groups and individuals who are committing crimes. But it isn't the case whatsoever. Where's the program going? Well, certain key Democrats in Congress have tried to eliminate both the investigative and the patrol agreements and to confine 287G to a correctional setting because they feel that that's safer and that DHS can have more control over it. DHS ended up not going that route. They ended up preserving the program and coming out with what they called a standardized memorandum of agreement for all of the jurisdictions, although, in fact, they are not standardized. And so they didn't completely succeed in really changing the nature of the program. What they did succeed in doing was irritating a lot of their local partners who had to go through the exercise of renegotiating these agreements, which, end up to be pretty much the same agreement that they had before. What I'm hearing from the agencies who participate is that it's business as usual in the 287G program, and they feel that the new memorandum, is not going to affect their program. The exception to that, of course, would be Maricopa County, which had their investigative program yanked, possibly because the department felt like they, maybe had to deliver somebody's head to their to the groups who had been complaining about this program. But it hasn't stopped the sheriff there from trying to address immigrant crime. I mean, he's got state and local laws at his disposal as well. But unfortunately, what this has done is empowered some of the local advocacy groups who are opposed to 287G to bringing legal challenges to some of these programs. And the most recent example that we've seen around here is in Frederick County, where a group has brought a lawsuit against the sheriff for alleging racial profiling. So they're definitely going to feel empowered by this attention that's been focused. But again, the criticisms are not based on any actual experience. They're purely allegations that haven't been substantiated. The biggest problem with 287G right now is adequate funding so that it can be expanded to more agencies, and so that it can be used in more different contexts. I would like to see many more police forces create criminal alien units so that they have people on the force who can specialize in alien crime and how to work with ICE and support all of the units on their force who encounter foreign nationals in the course of their business. And I also just finally want to emphasize that the 287G program is really just one tool that's available to state and local law enforcement agencies. There's lots of other ways that they can work with ICE, and they can and should be working cooperatively with ICE to address the public safety problems that are related to illegal immigration. So, thank you.
Thank you. Jessica?